Hey y'all, it's Danielle Branche-Brown. I am live. We'll be doing a Q&A today. I'll be talking to you about the business, all the moves we're making, right? All the things we are doing. I had to put some oil on my face, y'all. I was a little dry, okay? I'm gonna light my candle for self-care. I first am going to start with a story because I thought this would be fun to share. So yesterday we interviewed, me and my team, we interviewed with an intern, right? So we're starting to bring interns into the business. One, because y'all know I talk all the time about the lack of support in the field of mental health for therapists, and the fact that a lot of times we are sort of just released into the world of mental health and helping people without really having any substantial levels of support and healing and space and permission for ourselves to be human and to grow and to care for ourselves. So we're bringing interns on to bridge that gap, right, to reach folks who are going to be leading the future of this field, right, and to help them begin to tap into things like alignment and get out of spaces of codependency, imposter syndrome, all that sort of stuff, right? So we were interviewing an intern yesterday, and she asked me a question, and I thought that I would share the question and also the answer with you, because I feel like this is a question that I get a lot, right? So of course the question is, why did you get into the field, right? What drove your passion toward the population that you work with? And I'm always real with this answer. Once I figured it out for myself, I'm real, whatever the opposite of stingy is with the information, okay? So it was a codependent ass decision, okay? It was coming from a space of woundedness. It came from places of hurt. And I think if you ask most folks who are dedicated and committed to like healing practices or helping fields, you'll find that to be true across the board, right? I don't want to fully generalize, but that's what I have found, right? My passion, my purpose, my audience has always been couples. And it came from a space of growing up not seeing any healthy relationships, to be quite frank, right? Not seeing any marriages succeed, not seeing any partnerships last, seeing a lot of mistreatment and confusion and chaos and disconnection, right? And all these sorts of things. And so I remember I was in undergrad and I took my first college psychology class and found out that the rate of divorce was 50%. And my like bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, codependent ass self was like, I need to be a part of fixing this thing, healing these relationships, right? And since then, I have come to find that that is not a thing, right? That I am not responsible for the healing and fixing of other people's stuff, other people's relationships. And so now my passion, my purpose for working with couples comes from a much clearer space, a much healthier space, I believe, and a much more healed version of myself. And so now, my value really still is relationship. And that is because I believe that our relationships are a huge part of what makes us who we are in this world, right? They are a huge part of support and safety. Like, it's one of the most integral connection, right? Is one of the core values of mine, right? And so now that it's coming from that space, it feels much less codependent. It feels much healthier. It feels much more detached. And when I say detached, I mean detached from my identity, right, as a human. I remember the first time I had a couple come in who decided to get a divorce. I was devastated. I was like, oh my God, maybe I'm not cut out for this work. Like, what have I done? I'm like breaking people up, so on and so forth, right? I was like super confused and lost and filled with shame and imposter syndrome and all these things. And then I got to a space in that journey, right, of recognizing, you know what? if my role in that journey for them was to help provide a space that was safe enough for them to really dig into and look at their misalignment, and to make a decision that was consensual on both sides, right, where both of them recognized what they were unable and incapable of receiving and giving to that relationship, then that is what my role is, and that's okay. And honestly, that is powerful, right? That many people stay in relationship when they don't have that safe space, right? They stay in unhealthy spaces when they don't have the words and the framework and the permission to really assess what makes sense for them and what's aligned with them. So anyway, I do not view my role in couples anymore as being the fixer, the healer, right, the savior of anybody's relationship. I now view it more as sort of coming from a place of holding space. And then my passion, purpose, audience these days really is, again, coming from another space of woundedness, of neglect, if I can be real with you. And I've told this story on here before, where my first job outside of college, or my first actual full-time therapy position, was as a trauma therapist, right? And it was so crazy because it was like looking in a mirror. I had not gotten to a space. I'm 22 years old, right? Like, I'm excited to be out here as a part of the healing profession. And it was like looking in a mirror, right? And I realized that I had my own trauma. And I did not have safe space. I had a supervisor who was belittling and condescending and neglectful, right? I remember she said to me, you know, we should be grateful. We should be lucky. Like, I was struggling. I really, truly was. And she had she had very little empathy for what that experience was like for me. She had no curiosity for what that experience was like for me. And so to actually be people, and to heal the stuff that they come to this field with. And I think a lot of times that's just not happening, right? So anyway, I just wanted to share that story, or those stories, right, about how I got where I am and where my passion comes from in this field, and why my audience is my audience, and why my market is my market. So I want to open it up for questions. If you want to add a comment. Oh, Parenting and Recovery sent a request to be in your live video. Oh, wonderful. Let's see how we do this. Hi.
Hi. I'm sorry. I thought this was just to listen, so I pushed that. I just want to listen. I'm still kind of new to Instagram.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know how to let you go either.
I'm going to swipe out and then I'll log back in.
Okay. All right. So I am here. I am open for any questions that you have about the things that we're doing in the business, right? We have our movement therapy classes that we do every month, on the third Saturday of the month. We also have the Unshame and Untamed, the Human Therapist program that we have been offering since last November, and that's been taking off and doing really well and feeling very good for the clinicians and mental health professionals that have been a part of that. We have the Teen Health Relationship Group, right? So there are all kinds of branches, right, within branches of life. I know it's corny and I don't care, it's cute. Right, so how do you find balance between your life and clients? Also, mind your business as you watch me squint to see the screen. My husband told me I need to wear my glasses. I don't care. One day I will, but I don't like them. I don't like the way they feel on my face. So how do you find balance between your life and clients? Very good question. So I think I used to be really bad at this. I like to be really honest and authentic with folk when they ask me questions. I used to be really bad at it, right? In my days of codependency, where I was really wrapped up in the idea that I was capable of like saving folk, right? And that if only I was a part of their journey or their life, then, you know, things would be whatever. And so I used to very much overextend myself. I was not very good at boundaries. I really was doing like a lot of self-neglect, right? I was finding way too much of my worth in working with my clients, right? And so as I've developed and as I've done my own healing work and as I have gotten to a space of like codependent no more, okay, hashtag, I am much more detached from my work, right? I have gotten to a space where what I do for a living, right, or what I do for money is not associated for me, right, from my perspective and what I do for a living. I live for a living, right? And so I've gotten to a space where I value my living, right, more than I value the work that I do, okay? And so with that change in mindset comes a level of boundary, a level of honoring of my own self and my own needs and my own desires. I've come up with a very clear and specific structure of like when I'm going to work, how many hours a day I'm going to work, how many clients I'm going to see a day, right? I've gotten very clear with myself and asked myself these questions, right? So my setup looks like I'm off on Sundays and Mondays. I really don't care what's going on in the world, right? I've gotten to a space where I'm detached enough to recognize that the world will move forward without me, that my clients will heal without me. The folks in this world do not need me as much as I assumed in the past that they did, right? Even my friends and family, they will live, right, if I am taking time for myself. Mondays, Sundays, I am off. I do not work past 6. That is my cutoff time. I do not work before 10. That is my mornings are for me. So building routine, having a level of detachment, and then valuing my own life before what I do to make a living. I often use the self-talk of, you can't pour from an empty cup. Again, one of those cliches that like might sound cheesy and corny, but boy, it works, right? Because once I start to feel myself depleted, it is a sign for me that I might be going back into some of those codependent ways of showing up, that I might be suppressing my own needs, right? So then I make sure that I tell myself that as well. I also have a self-care plan that I have literally right in front of me on my desk, and it says stick with the routine, purge what doesn't serve me. That really goes with being clear with myself about what's aligned and what's not, and giving myself permission to move and live and even work in that way. Ask myself what I need and then offer it to myself. Stop waiting and looking around for other people to fulfill my needs for me, that I give myself permission and the responsibility to do that for myself. So if I feel like I am dehydrated, I go drink some damn water. And then to choose my well-being instead of people-pleasing. That is how I find balance between my life, my living, and my clients and how I serve the community. All right. I also do a decent amount of celebration of how I do serve the community so that I'm not in this cyclical loop of not feeling good enough, right? Like when we don't recognize what we've already done, it's easy for us to overdo, right? If that makes sense. When I am able to celebrate and recognize what I've already done, what I've already given, how I've already served, it does make it much easier for me to detach, disconnect, and then serve myself. And I take lots of vacations because traveling is a value of mine. Okay. Any other questions, right? This is a Q&A, all right? Any questions about our services or how I started the business, right? Any questions about how I show up for clients, how I show up for self? Because I can just sit here and talk, okay? I've gotten to a space where I'm cool with talking to the screen. Got our 4 people on here. Ooh, I just got a text message that my upcoming class is sold out. That's so dope. So we're doing a crafting corner on Saturday where we have a question. I'll talk about the crafting corner and then I'll answer your question, parenting and recovery. So we are doing a crafting corner on Saturday where we are recognizing the fact that mental health and wellness expands beyond the therapy room, right? That you can come into therapy for 50 minutes every week and still not change a damn thing, okay? And so the Crafting Corner is there to serve as a time and space where you can give yourself some care, and that you can tap into your creative juices, recognizing that being creative is a huge confidence booster, and it is a mindfulness practice, all right? So how did I get started? So I shared a little bit about the codependent roots of my start in this field, right? I'll go a little bit more into detail about the specifics and the logistics. So when I was in undergrad, I started my undergrad career as a dance major, right? Surprisingly. Well, the people that know me are not probably surprised by that. I love to dance. I love to move. That is a huge part of the reason why we do the movement therapy classes. But then I got into that culture, and it was kind of mean. Like, it was competitive and belittling and condescending and like rigid. And I did not feel comfortable. I did not feel safe. I did not feel held in that space. And so I was like, okay, I want to do something a little different. And also I want to do something that, you know, is going to serve people. Again, back then, coming from kind of really massively a codependent space. Hey, Danny. And so eventually I took a psychology class, realized that I wanted to work with couples and relationships. Again, that came from a place of woundedness, of not seeing a lot of healthy relationships around me. Fast forward, went to grad school for marriage and family therapy at Drexel University. Graduated, came back to my hometown of Baltimore. I always was going to start my own practice. I know myself. I know that I like freedom of movement and choice. I know that I like to create. And so I always was pretty sure that I was going to start my own practice eventually. After having a couple of positions in the nonprofit world, I went on ahead and started my practice part-time, and then eventually left all other agency work and took the leap of doing my private practice full-time. Got real lonely because I am a very community connection, relationship oriented type of person, and so expanded that into a group practice where I hired people and brought people on as independent contractors, and that's how we got here. Got to a space where, again, I love to teach, I love to give information, I love community education as a thing. My first actual job outside of grad school was as a community educator at House of Ruth. It's in Maryland, where we really advocated for and educated the community around what intimate partner violence looks like, why folks might stay in relationships that are abusive or unhealthy, and really helping people to empathize with and understand that dynamic. And then, moved into my private practice, recognized that healing, like I said earlier, expands beyond the therapy room, and thus sort of expanded that even further into doing more of a wellness center styled practice. Right. I hope that answered your question, parenting recovery. What is your name? I know you jumped on here with me. We got to see each other's faces a little bit, but I do not know your name. Also, if there are any other mental health providers in the room, if you can answer that question too, right? How did you get started in this field? Because all of our stories look different, but there are also maybe some similarities, right, about what brings us to this field, to this work. Also, another question is that you can put in the comments here is, do you agree with me, right, in terms of a lot of us coming into this field and having passion sort of based on our woundedness? Hey, Janice. Oh, you're an LMSW. Where are you located, Janice? Alabama. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you. Any other questions, right, about our content, our workshops, right? The transitions that we're making in our business. If not, I'm probably going to spend some time here talking about the Unshame Untamed program, and then I'm probably going to hop off. So the Unshame Untamed, the Human Therapist program, like I said, was really created out of a need from my perspective, right, and the perspective of some of the folks in my community, the need to have safe space and permission to have an identity beyond therapist, right? A lot of times I think we're trained in a way that is very codependent, and we're trained in this very like white savior-esque way of showing up for our clients. I think recognizing that like most of the pioneers in the field whom I honor and like respect and am grateful to were white men, right? And so a lot of the culture of our field comes from some stuff that doesn't necessarily fit all of us. So the Unshame, Untamed, the Human Therapist program is a bridge of sorts, right? A safe space where we really come together and talk shit. And and also we heal. We do more than just like talk about the negative stuff. We also heal through some of the wounds that some of that stuff and some of the masks that we wind up putting on because of that style of training, right? And then we learn how to take those masks off. We learn how to honor the human behind that mask, and then we learn how to use ourselves and align our practices with who we really are versus who we were taught we were supposed to be. So we do that monthly. That's every second Saturday of the month from 11 to 12:30. It's a 90-minute group. And we have lots of fun, and we shed lots of tears, and we do lots of connecting and networking and accountability, right? Supporting each other. We create goals for our futures. We do meditations and writing practices, right? So lots of very hands-on levels of and sort of deep dive levels of healing, right? So I would love to have you there. Love to see you heal. Love to see you align. Okay. So it was very beautiful to be on here with you today. I am going to jump off, take a break, okay, because self-care. I really hope that you all enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see you in the next one. Love you. Bye. Passion for working with mental health professionals came from that space of neglect, right? Recognizing that I wanted to be able to provide safe space where I'm giving folks in this profession, humans, like, mind you, right, in this profession, the space, the permission, the curiosity